There is a black stone which is placed in one corner of the structure. It is called the right hand of God, again symbolically. We either kiss it or we signal at it, and the idea is that we are pledging to God, we are promising Him. Hajis encamp at Mina, and this is actually the beginning of a war, a battle, a jihad against Satan. And that's what the purpose of the bigger Hajj is. Collect pebbles for the future purposes. In other words, get prepared with arms to fight the enemy. Sacrificing animal is actually symbolically telling God that we are prepared to sacrifice ourselves for your cause. It's again symbolically a declaration that we are announcing that we have become God's slaves. In the earlier times, when there used to be slavery, that we are showing our anger and hatred against Satan and the evil forces. So we make a firm resolve by striking at those pillars and expressing our feelings. The question that arises is that what's happening? Why all these rituals? The Quran says that these rituals are religious symbols described as Sha'irullah. These are religious symbols. God has decided that they should be done, followed, experienced, and each one of them has a definite meaning behind them. If one is to do Hajj, bigger or smaller, one ought to know what are the real meanings, what is the real spirit behind these rituals, or else the whole exercise is going to be a mere formality and the real purpose of Hajj will not be properly achieved. So let's find out what these different Sha'ir, religious symbols, mean. Ihram is the first religious symbol. The two pieces of cloth that the men pilgrims put on are actually similar to the two pieces of cloth which cover the dead body of a believer who is ultimately taken to the grave. The idea is that when we leave for Hajj, we are reminded of the fact that we are now cutting off our ties temporarily with this world. The worldly life is on our back and we are devoted to God, remembering Him and doing whatever He has desired us to do. Then the Haji starts doing zikr, chanting the talbiyah. These are some formal words which mean labbaik, Allahumma labbaik. We are here, O God, we are here. Innal hamda wan ni'mata laka wal mulk. Indeed, all praise, all expressions of thank, and the entire kingdom belongs to you, and we are here. Innal hamda wan ni'mata laka wal mulk la sharika lak. There is no one who partners with you. So, this is in actual fact a response to the invitation that the Almighty has extended to the pilgrims. It is said that when Abraham, he along with his son Ishmael, constructed the house of God, it was at that time the Almighty asked Abraham to invite people towards the house that he has constructed for remembering God. And each time a pilgrim embarks upon the journey, he begins by chanting these words, Labbaik Allahumma labbaik. Oh God, I am here on your invitation. So, the spirit of meeting God spiritually is created by repeating these words over and over again. Miqat is the spot which you cannot cross without being in the state of ihram. This is In other words, a message that now that we are going to meet God, God has His own territory. Obviously, it's all symbolic. The entire universe, the entire existence belongs to God, but for the purpose of Hajj, there is a certain territory that has been earmarked, set forth for God to be remembered. So we enter His territory and we have to be in the right uniform. When we enter the house of God, we enter the sacred mosque, we are struck by the greatness of the house. We are in awe, stunned. It's not a huge building, it's a small structure, but the manner it influences, the manner it impresses us, the manner we are stunned looking at it is immense, is something that one can only experience, one cannot talk about it. That's the biggest symbol of all. As I said, it's a small structure, but it's called the house of God, the house erected for remembering God. There is a black stone which is placed in one corner of the structure. It is called the right hand of God, again symbolically. We either kiss it or we signal at it, and the idea is that we are pledging to God, we are promising Him, like people used to promise and pledge to the chief of a tribe. They would either get hold of his right hand and kiss it. Well, that's what they would normally do. Ladies would normally signal at it. So that's another symbol. So we go around the house and we are as if coming close to God, seeking His forgiveness, seeking His help. We move towards the two hills, Safa and Marwa, and we do Sa'i. It is actually striving for the way of God. It's meant to remind us that life is a struggle and we are doing Sa'i for His sake. Then begins the bigger Hajj on 8th of Dhul Hajj. Hajis encamp at Mina, and this is actually the beginning of a war, a battle, a jihad against Satan. And that's what the purpose of the bigger Hajj is. The Almighty has invited all pilgrims from around the world to come to His house, make a firm pledge and fight against his and their enemy, that is Satan. So they all come together in the form of an army. They are troops who have come together in Mina, and they proceed towards Arafat the next day on the 9th, and they pray to God over there behind their Imam, and they seek forgiveness from the Almighty. They seek His help in being able to lead their life in accordance with His expectations and to be able to fight the enemy, Satan, properly. That's an indication of the fact that if Muslims, believers, were ever to fight against the enemy, the evil forces, they cannot do so without first praying to God properly and getting rid of their sins. They move towards Muzdalifah, where they take rest, collect pebbles for the future purposes. In other words, get prepared with arms to fight the enemy. And the next day on the 10th of Dhul Hajj, they sacrifice animal, which is again symbolic. The Quran says it is neither the flesh nor the blood of these animals that reaches God, it is your God consciousness that reaches Him. Sacrificing animal is actually symbolically telling God that we are prepared to sacrifice ourselves for your cause. You have been kind not to ask us to take our own lives. So symbolically we are telling you that here is this animal that we have sacrificed for you. In actual fact, we are available. Our life, our wealth, our time, our energies, everything is available for you to ask us to sacrifice. We then remove our hair. In most cases, men, they shave off their heads. It's again symbolically a declaration that we are announcing that we have become God's slaves. In the earlier times, when there used to be slavery, if a person would buy a slave, the slave would declare by shaving off his head that he has now been taken over by a master and therefore others should not bother. So that is also a symbolic expression that we have now become God's slaves. But finally, the most significant ritual of Hajj is pelting stones at Satan, the three monuments. The biggest of them all, the one that is smaller and the smallest. On the first day, it's the biggest pillar which is stoned at. And then the next 11th, 12th, and if one was to stay on for the 13th, that is a voluntary exercise that one can do on the 13th as well. The idea is that we are showing our anger and hatred against Satan and the evil forces. So we make a firm resolve by striking at those pillars and expressing our feelings that we are fighting against Satan. We will fight against Satan all throughout our lives. The idea of having three pillars is that we get a reminder that Satan would come to us, alluring us towards the wrong path, sometimes towards the big sins, sometimes towards lesser ones, and sometimes towards the even lesser ones. So we have to be agile, vigilant all this while in trying to save ourselves from all kinds of evil designs of Satan, the whisperings that incline us to do wrong. The idea of doing them on the 10th, 11th, 12th and possibly 13th of Zulhajj is to remind the pilgrim that it's an ongoing battle. It's not a matter of pelting stones at Satan on a particular day that you'll be able to get rid of it or get rid of the evil effects of it. It's a matter that has to continue till the very last day of our lives. A Haji goes around the Kaaba and seeks forgiveness from the Almighty, asks Him to forgive him for the wrongs that he did while doing Hajj, and asks for His help to remain steadfast throughout the life after the Hajj is complete and to remain in the spirit of Hajj. So Hajj, although is full of rituals, yet all those rituals have definite meanings behind them, and a Haji would do his Hajj properly, effectively, only when he knows the meanings of all those rituals, those shair, religious symbols that the Almighty has decided for the Hajis, the pilgrims, to go through. And if that is what happens, then the person who has gone through this experience would go through an experience of his lifetime.